Thank you so much for joining us today. Listen, we are just so excited. We wanted to take some time to just share with you a little bit about Women with Grit. What is the story behind it? How do we get started with it? You know, I've got partner in crime here, Lee Willette.
Hey, what's going on?
And I'm Sherelle Lands, and we're just so excited about this concept called Women with Grit, where we interview just exceptional women within the community and around the world who are doing phenomenal things. So how do we get started with this concept, Lee?
Well, I think ultimately it was a reaction to COVID. We were literally working on a different concept that involved women and really helping women have the opportunities to progress in their careers, and we're really putting something together to do that. And we had all these people lined up to interview and to get information from, and
COVID happened.
So
that changed life for everyone.
It did, and so for us, we were talking one day, and so we were talking about what we're doing, and I said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, and I'm thinking about doing this, and you said, okay, let's do it. And so Women with Grit came.
There it is. Big on execution, we make it happen.
Yes, so it's been exciting.
Yes, it has. We've had just phenomenal guests even over the last year, and looking forward to all that's coming ahead. So how can they reach us?
They can reach us on YouTube, Exceptional Women with Grit. You can subscribe to our page. You can check out our Facebook page, Women with Grit, or you can go to our website, womenwithgrit.com.
That's it.
And the best way to catch us is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, when Sherelle and I are live with our guests. And literally, I think the most exciting thing for me is what we talked about. We wanted to have a program that addressed that brought in women from around the world. So that's our globe here. We literally interview people in Bogota, Colombia, over in London, and then all over the United States as well. So that's been exciting. That's one of the benefits of COVID. Everybody's used to this virtual world, and nobody feels like they have to fly in to be live in the studio.
That's right. So hopefully you will join us live or catch the replay, right?
The replays, that's right. We have a bunch of replays, and I mean, if I were you, I would binge listen. People would binge watch on Netflix, binge listen and watch Women with Grit. There have been some phenomenal interviews and some phenomenal tips that will help anyone. We have men and women that watch.
That's right.
And I think the tips that you get, the things that you learn from these women that are our guests will help anyone advance their careers, advance their lives, and just really live a full life and a happy life. And I think that's exciting.
Yes, I would agree 100%. So if you're interested, definitely join us, follow us, engage with us, like us, share it, all of those things. And if you know a phenomenal woman or a woman with grit that you would recommend being on the show, be sure that you write us on any one of those forums, and a member of our team will get back to you.
Yes. And don't forget, if you have a product or service, a company that you want to promote or a cause, give us a shout. We're happy to do that. There is a cost. But it's not much, not yet. So you better get in while it's cheap.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. And so far, we'll see you online.
Talk to you later. Peace.
Bye. Good evening, everyone. It is that time of day again where we exemplify another amazing woman with grit. Let me tell you, we're so excited to have you on Women with Grit this evening. We have another amazing guest, Miss Bitsy McCann. And I tell you, you guys are in for an amazing treat. So go ahead and grab your drink of choice, your favorite snack. Let everyone know that we are on, recognize that we are on at a new time, right? Moving into the new year, we are now on at 6 p.m. Central Standard, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that you bookmark that, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, any one of our social media channels, because we're so excited to have that on today. Have you on today. And again, you guys know how we do it. We love the engagement and energy, as this is a time for us to exemplify amazing women around the world who are doing phenomenal things. It's that time for Women with Grit. And so tonight I want to bring to you guys an amazing woman on the first day of March. for Women's History, right? What an amazing time for us to celebrate women and also exemplify just grit all around. And one of the things that we have to remember, especially as women, is not only are we amazing outside doing wonderful things in the community and around the world, but also we have to reflect that back amongst ourselves. And so this is just a show for us to exemplify those women who are doing amazing things around the world in the community. So tonight, I want to bring to you guys another amazing woman with grit. You guys are in for an amazing, amazing treat. But let me tell you just a little bit about Bitsy. Okay, so after being let go from her job that she had been recruited for, Bitsy McCann wasn't sure what her next steps would be. Should she jump back into a corporate grind or start something of her own? How many of us have been in that specific space, right? Trying to decide on whether or not to continue in corporate or do something that you're passionate about, or be able to embody or enable your passion as a part of your corporate career. But flash forward 8 years, and Bitsy has helped hundreds of businesses define their brand, mentored women of all ages, and has been recognized professionally on repeat. And let me tell you, tonight, we are going to talk to Bitsy. She is a ray of sunshine. I love her energy. When you guys get a kick on her earrings, they're amazing. Let me tell you. Bitsy will share her sunny positivity with us while discussing her passion for her clients, her family, as well as her work-life balance. You guys are in for a treat. Let me bring to the stage Miss Bitsy. Hi, Bitsy.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. I am honored and flattered to be here.
We are so excited to have you. And as you know, I mentioned to you earlier, Lee will not be joining us this afternoon, this evening. So just so you guys know, or those of you who have been following us, Lee has a star athlete son, and this is his last year of school. So we 100% support him getting into and being able to show or to align his schedule to support his son during this time. So we're so excited for him on that. But that doesn't mean that we'll stop the party, because we will still have fun regardless and make amazing things happen. So how are you, Bitsy?
I'm doing good. Monday, I think, leached into Tuesday a little bit, but now we're getting settled. I've been looking forward to this. So I'm happy to kind of kick back, have a drink, and enjoy myself.
Exactly. And that's what we want to do. This show is it's about you tonight. It's definitely about you, where we just want to celebrate you. And now tell us what city or state that you are joining in from.
I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So we're the capital of Pennsylvania, and we're about an hour and 45 from Philly, about 3.5-ish from Pittsburgh. So we're in the middle. We're in the farmland kind of area, but Harrisburg is a legit city. So, we have big buildings here too.
I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of it before tonight, but that's awesome. So let's jump into it, Bitsy. Our guests, definitely get inspired and really come to hear the unique stories of women such as yourself. So tell us more about you and tell us your unique story of grit.
Absolutely. So for me, I think it started back when I was in high school. Maybe even before that, in middle school. I was bullied a lot. So that is where my sister says I get my sense of humor, is that I was just made fun of constantly when I was young. So it was hard, but it wasn't sad. And here's why it wasn't sad. I think it gave me the ability to have things roll off my back super easily at an early age. Okay. So for some people, I think they kind of get stuck when bad things happen. I had at an early age had to figure out how to keep going forward, try to keep that positivity alive, keep that happiness alive. So it started there. And I would say, middle school, high school, it was fine. I think like every average kid in America, lower middle class, it was all right. It wasn't bad. I didn't get to do every sport, but I got to do some stuff. And then after high school, I took a year off. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. My parents are phenomenal people. They've always made me feel wanted and loved, but they didn't really have the college background behind them. So getting me prepared for some of those steps, they just weren't able to facilitate that. And honestly, I wasn't the kid that cared about it. So I took a year off. I worked at a fast food restaurant, Fazoli's. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's like fast food.
Yes.
Okay. Unlimited breadsticks, right?
I love it.
Yeah, so I worked there, and then I went back to community college, and then I eventually got my degree. So I spent 6 years from start to finish in college. I didn't rush it. I got a decent GPA, but like a lot of kids, you either take out tons and tons of loans or you work an almost full-time job to be able to pay for your education. So I didn't escape without any debt, but I did pay for a lot of it as I was getting through. And I did that by working in radio. So
Mm.
I don't know if you know much about the radio industry, and it could have just been where I was in little old Lafayette, Indiana, okay, where Purdue University is. But radio is a really tough industry for women.
For women. Yep.
Men get promotions over women that are more qualified, have more experience, and it is a hard job to do anyway, just because you're getting paid almost nothing to
Yeah.
work all the time and work really hard. So my husband and we got married after I graduated from college. He'd already been done for a while, which is what brought us to Harrisburg over 10 years ago. And when we got out here, I still did some voice tracking for the company that I'd worked for, which is I would record my voice into my computer. I'd email it to them. They would put it in the slots like I was on air. So people were calling me like months later, like, I thought you moved. Like, I just heard you on the radio. Wasn't there. But when we moved to central Pennsylvania, I just did not want to stay in radio anymore. I mean, my dreams of, doing something amazing in radio had been squashed. And then seeing people less talented get promoted time and time again over me and other women in my building that were as talented or more talented, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what changed for you that kind of, dampens your energy towards radio.
I'll tell you. There was a specific program director who I don't think about him very often, but I'd say probably once every couple of years, I hope that guy's life is not as great as it should be. And maybe that's horrible, but I don't know why he didn't like me. I have an intense energy. So I think sometimes I rub people the wrong way. And so I don't know, he just didn't like me for whatever reason, but everything changed after one weekend. I was with an intern helping her for free work on her reel so that she could have it after she was done with college, potentially send it out to other radio stations, maybe get a weekend job on air or something like that. And she and I are in there, and he comes in screaming. It's, I don't know, maybe a little after 7 on a Saturday. We had just gotten done with the Purdue football game. We were at the broadcast. I was showing her how to do that because I was the tailgate girl. Yeah. And so then we were back at the studio working on her reel, and he came in and he was drunk as a skunk. And he was throwing things around in the studio. Apparently we had gone off air. And after that transpired between us, the whole next week, he was horrible to me. And I was at the point, I had been there maybe a year at this point. I'd started doing my own voice tracking. I was already creating commercials, and we were getting to that step where I was going to be on air. And he was there for another 3 years, and I was never on air. He didn't want me to have a name tag for any of the stations, even though I did promotions, commercial coordination, public service announcement direction, commercial creation. I think I already said that. I did everything in that building. I wore all the hats. Literally the moment he left and another program director came in, I was on air in a week.
So what do you think it was? Was it just
I think that I caught him in the building drunk, that he obviously had anger management issues. I think he was embarrassed. I will tell you what, though, I was maybe 19 or 20 when that happened. I will tell you what, though, at the end of that week, I stood up for myself in a way that is very much not professional. And, he had made me already, and I wouldn't say I'm an overly emotional person. I mean, I am a ginger. So like, do I have a soul, but he made me cry over by the fax machine. Fax was real popular back then. He just was belittling me in front of people coming to pick up their prizes. I mean, just horrible. And at the end of this week of him just being awful to me, he had the audacity to ask me to work overtime like that weekend, covering a basketball game because he didn't want to do it. And I
Mm.
said, I'm really not interested. I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And he said, but it'll be extra money. And I said, I'm not really interested in the extra money, which I should have been. I think I was getting paid like $2 an hour. But I was like, I'm really not interested in the extra money. And he said, this
Mm.
is exactly why you'll never be on air. And then I said the full thing. I told him to F off.
Mm.
And I got to tell you what, that moment for me taught me that maybe I didn't handle it in the most professional way, the most
Okay.
appropriate way, but that I could stand up for myself.
Mm.
And whether I'd gotten fired or not, I was proud that I had stood up for myself
Yeah.
rather than just letting him bully me. After that, though, he never talked to me. So that could have had something to do with why I never got on air. But I still have no regrets about that interaction. And
Yeah.
he tattled on me to everybody else before I was able to even have my say. And all of the men were like, you shouldn't have said that. It doesn't matter what he said. And I had to sign a piece of paper saying I would never say it again, but they didn't fire me.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's a fireable offense. I mean, I told my superior to F off. I mean, that's a fireable offense. And I didn't get fired, which proved to me that I was talented at what I did, that they didn't want to let me go, which I don't necessarily think there should be flex like that in all cases.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it taught me a really valuable lesson that I could stand up for myself.
Yeah.
I just, over the years, it's now been almost 2 decades, I know how to do it in a more appropriate way.
Way, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
But you know something though, Bitsy, I think that you're hitting the nail on the head, which is having the confidence as well as the courage to stand up for yourself, you know, regardless of whether it's work, whether it's personal, same kind of thing. So, you know, and to your point, maybe you could have handled it a little bit differently, but
better.
but it brought you to where you are now, and it brought you to the aspect of building this amazing business where you're now focused on design work and helping other companies build their brands and their organizations as well.
Yeah. And that's exciting for me, you know, to be able to help other businesses succeed in their small business just by making them look like they're bigger than they are.
Mhm.
Like, it's such a cool experience, you know?
So tell us more about your business in general and what you do for clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I run the gamut of everything. I actually started as a print and branding designer. So my first job I got when we got to Harrisburg was with a small time entrepreneur. He was looking to do this amazing thing. He just didn't necessarily have the drive to get it accomplished.
Right.
Really nice guy, great idea guy. I worked for him for a while doing some design and office work, much as I had done at the radio station. And I don't know. For me, my dad is a workaholic. I get a lot of my workaholicism from him. And so I kind of need to work in that environment where everyone is just like working hard and hustling, not to forget work-life balance, which we can talk about later. But for me, like, that's important. So the local print shop was hiring. And so I started working there as a designer. I got headhunted by a financial firm. I redesigned a lot of stuff for them. And 4 months later, they let me go. And it was at that point that I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do now? And that was the pivotal moment for me getting let go. It was the first time I'd ever been let go from a job. And my husband actually was like, you should start your own thing. You like helping people. You're very particular. You like doing things your own way. What if you do your own design business and see where it goes? And I thought, well, if he's supporting me, I can support me too. I could do it. So I did. And now we're 8 years later, and I am able to make logos and brochures and business cards for businesses just starting out. But then more importantly, I got into it maybe about 5 years ago, web design. So I help them get on the map as far as on the internet's concerned. I tell them what to do with their social media, how to run it. I tell them how to get their Google My Business page up there, start getting those reviews in. So it's become more than just design, which is what I started at the print shop. It's now morphed into this whole, how can I get your small business on the map? And how can we do everything in our power to make it look like you're already successful? Because people want to buy into something that's successful. So how do we make you look like that from the start?
Mm-hmm. And the aspect of marketing is so important when it comes to businesses because I've seen. So
Oh,
I work on the side of strategy, and I help
mhm.
businesses with the aspect of scaling their organizations, the
Yep.
operational side of things. And we
Mhm.
can have amazing products, but if it's not out there or if
Right.
it's not positioned in such a way that people can know, like and trust
Mhm.
the creator or the founder of the organization, it becomes a little bit more challenging, if you will, to get the products on the map.
Yeah.
So I think that that is such a critical aspect is making sure that the brand voice is clear and that there's a
Mhm.
clear understanding of direction for the organization. So I think that that is so on point. I want to go back to something you said earlier because it is such a very tender topic at this point in time, and it's on the topic of bullying. And I feel that as the world has, as the internet causes us to shrink more and more and more, it becomes a lot easier for people to fall into the space of bullying. And I'm thinking more so about our young girls. So
Yeah.
as you think through your journey, and if you go back to, your younger self, what advice would you give a young girl who is in the space of bullying? And I guess that could be cyberbullying now because you can experience it as an adult. But what advice would you give to someone who finds themselves in a space where they are being bullied?
Take yourself out of the situation.
Hmm.
Just take yourself out. If people are bullying you on Instagram, delete it. People find you on Facebook, delete it. People find you on Snapchat, delete it. I got to tell you, when you get to college, and I'm not saying I don't still have friends from high school whom I love and I keep in touch with, but when
Yeah.
you get to college or beyond, when you start your first career or you go to trade school or whatever your journey is after traditional schooling,
Mhm.
you will find your people. You will find your people. The bullying will stop. This is just a small window of time. So if you are in a situation where people are being awful to you, just take yourself out of it. If you're hanging with
Mhm.
a group of girls and two of them are kind of snotty to you and maybe the other one's not, hang out with the other one solo. Don't hang
Yeah.
out with the other two. And if you need to find new friends, find new friends. Try to start an activity outside of your school or try to join a group that cleans up the river in your community. Do volunteerism. Volunteerism just makes you feel good because you're helping out something else. But take yourself out of the situation. I did that so many times, and I think I'm
Yeah.
so much better off for it. Just removing myself from the entire environment. It wasn't serving me. It was making me sad and lost and not love myself. And I really love myself. It was making me doubt that. And so if you're ever in a situation, I don't care if you're 15 or you're 55, take yourself out. Just remove yourself from it completely. You can find other friends, you can find other jobs, you can find other things, you can find it all. Just take yourself out.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said that. Remove yourself, and then cleanse yourself from the residue. So I always tell, I mentor young girls as well, and I want to get to what you do too, from the aspect of mentoring. And I tell them, ask yourself 3 questions. If someone says something to you that rubs you the wrong way, and they're on the fence about is this bullying or is this truth? Is one, ask yourself, is it true? Is what they're saying to you true? Is it something that you truly believe, or is
Mhm.
it just noise? Is it kind? Is it something that you can take away from? Is there something you can take away from it in such a way that you recognize that it is kind in terms of feedback? And is it something that could actually teach you something? And if not, like you said, let it roll off of your back and continue moving. I
Yeah.
think in this virtual world, it becomes so easy to feel like that's the only 4 walls that we have. But at the end of the day, you can hit delete at any moment, right? You
Yeah.
can decide to create something new in another space, and you don't have to stay in that. So if there are any younger women who are watching this, that's really, really important, especially in this time, is to not succumb to the aspects of being bullied, right? But to also recognize that you don't have to put up with it. You don't have to take it on. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. And I appreciate your transparency and sharing that as well, Bitsy.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you, because another thing that you talked about is just the influence of your family. So tell us, who are those key supporters, your big cheerleaders, those people who have rallied your success along the way?
Yeah. So Kevin, my husband, for sure. We've been together since we were babies. We met at that fast food restaurant, Fazoli's.
Aw.
And so that's where we met. I actually didn't like him at first. He was flirting with the 16-year-olds and he was 18. And I thought that was weird and creepy. But anyway, we were friends for a year. We ended up making out at a party, maybe, and then kind of realized, oh, maybe we do actually have feelings for each other. So we've been together ever since. So Kevin, key supporter. I mean, he supports me with every endeavor, every initiative. I don't know where he finds the energy to say yes to me all the time, but he does. And then with him, I have an almost 3-year-old Coraline, and she's not a supporter per se, but she
She's
now
your cheerleader.
she will be. She's my cheerleader. She will be quiet now if I'm on the phone, which I find shocking. She'll say, "Mama, you on phone?" And I'll say, "Yeah." And then she'll just wander off and do something else. I don't know how long that will last. It could end tomorrow, but right now it's happening. But yeah, so my husband for sure, and my sister. She has always been emotionally supportive for me. She's been someone I can bounce ideas off of. And actually, starting last summer, she came to work for me. So she does my admin, which is super cool. And she had been looking for some at-home jobs. Her kids they do virtual school, so she wants to be home with them. And she told me she was looking for some virtual jobs. And I said, would you work for me? And she was like, maybe. So we said, let's just do a 1-month trial, see how it works. We're both very honest and direct with each other too. We tried it for a month. We loved it. We're coming up on 9 months here, and I've given her a raise and bonuses, and I just want to give her all my money because she makes me so much more productive, and just she hacks through things that would take me hours. She gets them done in like a second. I don't know how she does it. She's magic. So yeah, so she's another key supporter. And then obviously, I mean, all of my family's back in the Midwest. So Chicagoland suburbs, Indiana, they're all over there. So we're a 10-hour to a 12-hour drive between us, you know. But they support me from afar. So do my 2 brothers back home. I mean, you know, my family is very supportive. They don't understand what I do. Like they don't understand how to build a website or make a logo or what any of that entails, but they're like, well, you did good art. Good job, kid. Like they don't get it, but they're very supportive too.
So do you feel that in the space of marketing, that design aspect is necessary? Or do you feel that's an acquired talent that you have or something that you've learned along the way?
I think that I learned it along the way, but I think that I have an eye for it. I've always loved art when I was young. I actually got robbed of Cookies for Life prize at our local grocery bakery. So they were having this coloring contest. I think I was like 7 at the time. I spent hours on this thing. Like hours, okay? Mine was the best up there. And I'm not just saying that. It's because I spent so much time on it. I did not win because they told my mom that it looked like somebody had helped her. So anyway, I think I've just had art in my blood always. But as far as the digital side of it, that was something that I was self-taught a little bit, taught a little bit at the print shop, and then really self-taught when I started my own business. My clients just kept coming to me needing more things than I knew how to do. And I just am always like, we have the internet now. I can figure it out. Whether I'm watching a YouTube video or reading a tutorial, I can figure it out. So whatever they needed, I was like, we'll figure it out. And that's how I got into web design. I am not a developer. I cannot write any code. So I researched what platform is there that I can use that has really good search engine optimization on the back end. So we show up high on Google. And I don't have to know any code for it. And Squarespace is great for that. Shopify is great for that. But Wix is primarily what I work in. And I love it because as a designer, and I was a print designer first, I can do almost anything I could do to a brochure on the internet. And that is cool to me. Whereas Squarespace, you have to work within their templates unless you know a coder who can like code things for you. WordPress, that's gibberish. I don't understand that. You know, so it's like with Wix, all of my sites are custom built. So for me, it's nice because I get that creative edge where I can just really do anything I want and make Like I can create the brand out of thin air. I'm not just using a template that's already there.
So I love that. You are literally taking it, your talent, which is your design eye, and utilizing the skills and the systems that are already in place
Yeah.
to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And what I love about that is, a lot of times businesses feel like they have to make everything from scratch. And I tell a lot of, business owners that work with me, which is if something takes you more than 30, maybe 45 minutes to complete, ask yourself, is there an easier, more efficient, or better way of doing it? Because there's so many existing systems and talents and systems and processes that are in place to help support and make you more efficient. And as an entrepreneur, small business owner, it's important for you to have that aspect of speed so you can focus on the things, in your case, doing design work, because that's where you add the real value to your client, not in the meddling of the code, because that's just not your skill set.
No.
And that makes so much sense, but a lot of the times I feel the entrepreneurs, we try to do everything and become a master at every single thing without recognizing what are the small few things that I need to do well, be able to maximize use of that. So
exactly. And I will point to hiring my sister. She works for me part-time. My productivity increased 35% the first month she was working with me. Like I can't do admin stuff well. She's a wizard at it. So why not have somebody do that? And it's just the way I like to do DIY as much as the next person.
Yeah.
But if that DIY is going to take me a ton of time, and I could have just hired somebody and I could have done something either that gave me pleasure, like paint a picture or spend time with my daughter, or done billable hours, versus do this thing that's going to take me 7 times as long as the professional. Why wouldn't I just hire the professional for it?
To bring it in. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Bitsy, believe it or not, we're already halfway through our segment. So I want to give you an opportunity to grab a drink of water, grab your beverage of choice, and then I'll bring you back up. But before you go, I want to tee you up for the question that I have when we come back. Okay. We are interested in knowing what has been one of your either most memorable or your favorite brand redesign story that you can share.
Okay.
All right. So we'll bring you right back. All right, everyone. So thank you again for joining in tonight, Women with Grit with Bitsy McCann. And then when I tell you guys, she's just such a wonderful ball of energy to have on our show tonight. If you are joining in for the first time, recognize that you can find us on any one of our platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, any one of those spaces, www.womenwithgrit.com, where we believe in exemplifying amazing women around the world who are doing phenomenal things in the city. And listen, we are on now. I think this is season 4. And as you guys know, my co-host, Lee Millette, is not on with us tonight, but he will be joining us next time. We obviously are celebrating him as well as his son, because Lee Jr. is actually graduating this year. And so being an athlete, he is doing so many amazing things. And so we want to make sure that Lee has the support he needs to do those fun things. Now, if you guys are joining us in for the first time, guys, I'm doing this all week. Women's History Month. We are giving away amazing things, whether it be by our guests or specifically from our own docket. So if you are joining us this week, I'm giving out my book, which is called Leading with Feet, Making Intentional Steps to Live Out Your Very Best Life. And when I tell you, if you're interested in just learning some practical ways of really getting unstuck or moving from one step to the next, you want to grab that book, but you don't have to go out and buy it. All you have to do is send us an email, let us know that you were on tonight's show with Bitsy, and we will send it directly to you. I will personally autograph it for you. That is for us to honor this during Women's History Month. So we're so excited again for you all to join us tonight. Again, we're on with Bitsy McCann, and we're going to bring her back up for the second half. But again, guys, this book is called Leading with Feet. When I tell you, I get so much feedback about it, just in terms of how it has inspired and touched lives. It is yours for free. Just make sure that you inbox us and let us know that you were on tonight's show, and we will send you a personalized autographed copy. All right, so we're going to delve more into even the aspect of community. But first, we want to hear from Bitsy on her most memorable most memorable brand redesign story, or your favorite one.
Yeah. So it was actually really recent. There is a local alternative brewery and venue in my area, and they, I think, paid someone in beer potentially to design their first website they had.
Yeah.
This thing did not tell the story of who this company was. I mean, they've got graffiti on the walls. They brew all their beers in house and they're good. They have like a smoke pit barbecue inside and they have shows. I mean, everything from talent shows to bands to bingo and trivia. I mean, it's a cool place to be. Especially if you were like a little bit punk or gothic or emo when you were younger, but now you're maybe in your 40s or your 50s and you want to go somewhere that's got a cool vibe where you can have a drink, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not that, and I love the place too. So it's really for everybody. But their website just did not speak to that. You go to the homepage, there's a beer list, but it's not put together in a way that it maybe should be. There's no merch, there's no about info, there's no nothing. So I completely redesigned this and I took some of their graffiti from inside and I replicated it onto the site. I made pieces animate to really get the, I don't know, the feel of when you walk in. Since I redid their website, they have never had anyone walk into their bar and be like, this is not what I anticipated, which they were having before. But then I redesigned the website and now no one does that because you go to the website and it's like walking into the bar, but online. So yeah, I love it. It's my favorite redesign. And I've done a lot that I really love, like neighborhood dispute settlement.org. I love that redesign I did. But yeah, Love Drafts Brewing. That's it.
Growing.
Yeah.
Awesome. You know, and I think that it says a lot even to the owner, just in terms of the confidence that they have referring people to the site or to the business as well. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about like work-life balance. You've got a 3-year-old, you've got a husband, you've got a business that you're running full scale with your sister and others. How is it balancing life and work?
So for me, I am a workaholic. I mentioned this before. I get it from my dad. My dad is the hardest worker I've ever seen in my entire life. So I grew up watching him work hard. My mom, I saw firsthand how to run a business. She was an entrepreneur. She owned her own painting and wallpapering business. She did it on her timeline. She had employees sometimes, like college kids that needed summer work kind of thing. But the rest of the time, she was a solo act. I worked with her sometimes. So I really got to see her in her element as well. So work-life balance for me, my dad, workaholic, my mom, master of work-life balance. My dad too, was at everything we ever did. It was important, just like your co-host, like celebrating his kid tonight. It's so important. So for me, I wake up with my husband and my kid. Now I'm very fortunate. He's a stay-at-home dad. And thank goodness, if I was a stay-at-home mom, this poor kid, her diet would be atrocious and she'd watch TV all day. So thankfully, Kevin exists. But he's a stay-at-home dad. So he cares for her all day while I work. I do my very, very best to break at 5:30, 6 max every night. She doesn't go to bed until usually 9:30 or 10. So we have hours together. And I make sure that I dedicate that time to her. And I try to completely stay off my phone because I want her to know that I am there for her in a way that I think other working parents have trouble being, because they have to do it all. You know, they have to keep up with their social life, keep up with their work, keep up with everything. It's hard to do in today's day. So for me, I've just like pretty much gotten rid of my social life, and I might message my friends during the day, during my work hours, to not cut into my kid time, or on the weekends, reach out to them when she's having a nap. She's still at the age where she's napping, thankfully. So I try really hard to be a present and a cognizant parent, even though I'm the working parent, and I do work a lot, because when she goes to bed, and I put her to bed every night, when she goes to bed, I go back to work. I go back to work for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. It depends on what the projects I have going on look like and deadlines. But for me, I call it work balance. because that really is
Sounds
what it
good.
feels like for me. Yeah. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
going to work.
I understand that. So for me, I get up at 4:30 in the mornings. So
Mhm.
my morning starts pretty early, but the first couple of hours are like my time for whatever
Yeah.
I want to do,
Yeah.
prayer, meditation, I write and things of that nature. And then I transition into my son's time and getting him to school and, the whole go, go, go. After that, the day starts and I do put guardrails around my day exactly for that point where you're able to spend time. And my son's a little bit older now.
Yeah.
And so he's getting to that stage where mom's not as fun. And that's okay. He's got his crew and things of that nature. And I'm okay with that. But when he was younger, I do remember that, which was when I was working corporate, I was very, very good about cutting off at 5 and no later than 6 p.m. so
Yeah.
that the rest of the afternoon was his. And
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done it without making sure that I worked with companies that were supportive of what was important to me. So family was obviously of utmost importance to me.
Yep.
And so having those organizations, I think, were important. Okay, so I want to delve into you now. When you think about as you've been growing your business and
Mm.
kind of transitioning through your life,
Mhm.
did you ever doubt yourself in the process? And if so, how did you overcome any of those self-limiting beliefs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have an abundance of personal confidence. I
Mhm.
try really hard to be a good person to everybody. I try really hard to be nice and kind and thoughtful and sympathetic. It's not always in my nature, so I'm always thinking about it, and I'm obnoxiously grateful, okay, just all the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
But when it comes to me, even though I really love myself, my ability to think, yeah, I can totally start a business from nothing and make it successful. Like that'll work. I mean, that's not really in my nature. It really wasn't. And so for me, my first year, and this is not take home, and I never care about talking about numbers. I'm an open book. My first year, I billed out. So not take home. This is not
Mhm.
minus expenses. This is just my invoices. $12,000. That was it. My
Yeah.
first year.
Yeah.
Last year, I got past six figures. This year, I'm on track to keep it trucking. But
Fantastic.
yeah, it's great. But that took 7 years
Yeah.
of being dedicated to what I do, believing in my art, trying to do the very best for my clients. And I think also being fun to work with.
Okay, I gotta stop you, Bitsy. Say that again because it's so impactful. How long did it take you, and what did you feel was the recipe for your success? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right.
That's
Interrupt.
so
Yeah.
important.
It took me 7 years. My
Mhm.
second year, I billed out, I think, $30,000. Like, I'm not making anything to live off of. So if I did not have my husband, who also was working, there is no way I could have done this without having another job and doing this as a side hustle until I could make it work. But think about it. If
Mhm.
I did have a full-time job and this was my side hustle, by the time I hit year 2, billing out 30, well, you might think, well, it's probably at this time, I could probably dip my toes in the water. I'll have to cut my budget down a lot.
Yeah.
I will have to make a bunch of changes if I didn't have Kevin, but I would have been able to do it, I think, mid year 2, end of year 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me 7 years to get to over six figures. 7
Mhm.
years. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm
Yeah.
proud of how it all went because I have never once doubted how I did my business.
Mhm.
There have been times where I have made grave mistakes that have cost me money
Yeah.
or groveling or just a bunch of apologies to my clients because I messed something up. But every single time it was a learning experience, absolutely. And more than that, I was able to come to this realization that if I mess up, the world doesn't end. I'm not a neurosurgeon, okay? I'm not like in the ER, like trying to get people to come back to life. I
Mhm.
make design. You know, I
Yeah.
I create pretty things for people to look at that are also functional online, right?
Right.
So for me, if I mess up, I just own it,
Mhm.
apologize for it, try to have good customer service, so pay for it if it was 100% my fault, and then move on, learn from it. But I wouldn't be where I am today if not for my missteps either, because it also gave me more confidence. It also told me I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. I know the projects I like to work on. I know the people I like to work with. If I get a weird energy when I'm talking to somebody on an initial consult, I'll just tell them I don't know if we're going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And I'm just straight up about that. I never would have done that at the beginning of my career. I would have been terrified to hurt someone's feeling. But the reality is, why do you want to work on a project with somebody who you know is going to be extra frustrating or is going to have really high expectations and only wants to pay you $50 to do the work? There are so many other fish out in that sea that will see you for what you're worth. They will know your value and they will be glad to pay for it because there's always someone more expensive that isn't as good as you. Always. So just keep going forward, and you'll get there. It takes time. It's not overnight.
Very much so. I love the fact that you said that. And the reason why I said that is because I see a lot of businesses who try to do that, which is go from 0 to 6 figures, 7 figures overnight. And while that happens, that's not the general trajectory for many businesses. It takes time. And it takes, like you said, the consistency, being honest, being able to own your craft and your truth as well. Then the other thing that you said, which I want to put my kickstand down on, is the aspect of finding the right fit from a client-based perspective and not compromising on the value of your product or compromising on the value of your service. Can you speak more about that?
Yeah. So first things first, Shalakimia. Hey, I just saw you in the chat. So if you're still here, hi. Shalakimia is my girl. She is so amazing and I love her and always.
Awesome.
But yeah, as far as like the value proposition with the fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and honestly, for me, value comes in where you're able to see what the person can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot see what they can do for you, then they're not good value and they're not a good fit.
Yeah.
So I never want to talk anybody into working with me ever. Never.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually by referral only. So the only way people work with me is if they've heard about me from someone else. I have a website that literally has no contact information on it. I don't want to work with people that are just randoms off the internet that don't know my services, don't know my value, don't know my pricing. I want them to have a good knowledge base going in before they even contact me of like, how much is it going to cost to work with her? Am I expensive to some people? Am I cheap? Oh yeah, to a lot of people, especially people that are used to working with ad agencies or marketing agencies.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm not a good fit for everybody. And even though I'd like to be, it's not going to work. Maybe they don't have the budget for it. If they don't, I try to give people honest, at least feedback for free. Like, hey, if you don't have the budget for this now, that's fine. You might be able to find somebody out there that'll get it done for you. So keep looking until you find them and don't settle until you do. One thing I do want to say too, in regards to like value and pricing and knowing your worth and all that kind of stuff, whenever you're going to work with somebody, whether it's a marketer or a designer, anyone in the digital space, make sure you look at their portfolio. Make sure you vet them. This goes for anything. You're going to see a dentist. You're not just going to go in blind. You're looking at Google reviews. You're looking at all sorts of stuff. Same goes for marketing people. Ask them to talk to a few of their past clients. Ask them about what the results were that they got. Make sure that what you're being sold is something that's actually going to benefit you. Right. And also don't be afraid to work with freelancers. Like I'm technically a freelancer, right? I work out of my house. Like this lovely behind backdrop is my bedroom, like I work from home, but is my work less good than an agency because I charge less? No, depends on the agency, but you have to look at that portfolio just like you would look at anyone else's portfolio that you would hire.
Love that. Thank you. And that value piece is just so important because a lot of the times women businesses underpay or undervalue the worth of the service that they have.
Yes.
So what do you think are some core attributes that women need to be successful, whether it's in business or in life in general?
I think a good attitude helps in all situations.
Yeah.
A good attitude. So if you can't find it, you're having trouble getting to it, start a gratefulness journal. And I know it's so simple and
Love
everybody
that.
tells you to do it. Absolutely do it every day. 3 things that you're grateful for. I swear to you, in 3 months, you will be on the bright side of things every day. Even if it's just, I'm grateful that I get to stay in bed another 15 minutes. I'm great. Write it down every single day. It will make a huge difference. But I think a positive attitude helps in any scenario.
Mhm.
Also recognizing that you aren't going to agree with everyone and you don't have to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We all are different people from various backgrounds. We have different stories. We have different religions, different beliefs, different ways we eat food, different things we do for fun. We're all super different. So if you come up with someone who's competition in your
Yeah.
industry, don't befriend them. Have
Mhm.
coffee with them. Just chit chat with them, because at the end of the day, how beautiful is it to have another colleague in your industry that you can bounce ideas off of? Or if you have someone that comes to you that's not a good fit, who's not necessarily going to be a trouble client, okay,
Mhm.
but just isn't
Right.
a good fit, you can pass them to one of these colleagues that you've made friends with. And then, the other thing is know your worth. And you touched on this earlier. It's so important. If the market is paying people that do what you do $35 an hour, $50 an hour, and $150 an hour, that's what you charge. That's what you
Yeah.
charge for your experience level and your capabilities. Charge what the market says. You
Mhm.
will not you will not have trouble finding clients. I've raised my rates, I think, 3 times in the past 2 years to get it to industry standard, because it wasn't. It was not. Now I am. I'm still less expensive than other people.
Yeah.
Great value, in my very humble opinion, great value. But like it I stair stepped. Not a single one of my clients, not a single one balked at their new invoicing. Not a single one.
Awesome.
So my point is, I could have charged more earlier. I just didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because now what has happened is I've developed really amazing relationships with my clients that I know that they will trust me, and they know that I will do my very best for them. So
Right.
so positivity, know your worth, and something else I said, that one too.
Charge your charge for your capabilities. I'm taking notes.
Yes. Yes.
I love the fact that you said that. Know your worth, charge for your capabilities, and you don't have to agree with everyone, but recognize that it's okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, Bitsy, and I want to make sure, because I know we're getting close on time. Guys, if you have any questions for Bitsy, please leave them in the chat function and we will be sure to get them over to her. So feel free to leave your questions in the chat function. Okay, so Bitsy, talk to us a little bit about the importance of community involvement and specifically as it relates to mentoring young women.
Absolutely. So community to me is so important. It's what really gave me my footing when I moved here. I didn't know anybody in central Pennsylvania, because like who knows anyone in central Pennsylvania. So when I moved here, it was really difficult for me to meet people. So I just immersed myself in community. I volunteered for organizations. I did like day of events. I just really got involved. And so for me, that kind of started the foundation of helping out organizations here. So the moment I was able to, and was fortunate enough to be making enough money with my business, I now also give back financially, which is really cool. I couldn't before. It was all sweat equity, or I design a brochure for them for free. But now it's like, I can also give you back dollars, which ultimately we all know money is what helps nonprofits in the area be able to fulfill their mission and their service to our community. So that's cool. But as far as young women are concerned, when I was first starting my business, I had a couple of really lovely colleagues, super nice, but not really mentors. Didn't really dive into financials, which I've already done here tonight, right? Didn't really dive into the nitty and the gritty of owning their own design business, what that looked like, what they charged, like how it all worked, like where do all the gears fit in. So
Yeah.
anytime that there is a young woman who wants some guidance, I set up a Zoom, we do the guidance. I tell them exactly what I did from start to finish. I'll give them a copy of my contract. I will tell them like how I organize my finances. I will give them literally all of the information that I wish I would have had 8 years ago when starting my business. that it took me 5, 6, 7 years to really learn, before I kind of honed my stuff. Now, if they use my materials, great, wonderful. If they don't, hey, some people like myself need to learn through experience. I have to get bit on the foot in order to learn a lesson. That being said, I'm so happy to talk with other young women, even if they're not going into the design field, they're just thinking about entrepreneurship and what that looks like for them. It's my favorite thing to be, just because I wish I would have had a woman mentor when I was starting my business.
Yeah. I love that. And the aspect of just being able to share and give back is so important. Not holding on to that information, but being able to actually share it with others is great. Okay, with what's left, I want you to tell us about the Big Bang Sisters, and then any nuggets that you would like to share with our guests.
Yeah.
Okay. Without talking about that one.
Yeah. So my sister and I, we're starting a comedy duo. It's called The Bang Sisters because we have bangs. It is not appropriate whatsoever. So you don't want your kids to listen to this, but we're working on music now, and we should have like an EP out in the next, 6 months or so. The songs are relatable. Like the first song that I wrote was about when someone's tailgating you, and you're going the speed limit or above the speed limit, and you're not going to brake check them, but you might slowly decrease your speed as time goes on, right? So like that's the first song. So then we have other songs about that. Funny enough, we also have a song about women's rights was a mistake and bringing back the patriarchy. So we actually have someone in the comment section that like reads minds. Like they already know what one of our songs about. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be a funny thing. So if you want to check us out, you can go to thebangsisters.com. Which surprisingly was not taken. And you can sign up for an email list, which will give you information as far as when we have shows or when we have videos that are coming out, things like that.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. So I want to make sure that if you have any questions, make sure that you grab them and put them in the chat function so that we can get those over to Bitsy. And you again are on with Bitsy McCann on Women with Grit. Bitsy, tell us, how can our guests follow you? How can they engage with you online or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm obviously on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I am the only Bitsy McCann. So you won't have to look through a bunch of me. Send me a message though, and let me know that you were on this. Especially since we have a special guest with us today. I'll just want to make sure that you're not that special guest because I'm not admitting you anywhere. So like Justin, I'm going to write down your name in case you friend me. I'm not, I don't really do Instagram. I must be old at heart. So I have a Facebook, I have a LinkedIn, but then of course you can email me. You can send me emails too. But I'll give you that through like a Facebook chat if you want to chat me there.
Awesome. And websites, any way that they can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. BitsyPlusDesign.com. You can at least check out my stuff. So if you're looking to get a website designed or a logo designed, this should give you a good idea. This is not a sales website. Okay. So a lot of other websites, you'll look, they're salesy. This is just a portfolio. So my advice always is like, see what's out there and looks good that you really enjoy and hire that person. Don't hire the cheapest person. Don't hire the most expensive person. If they happen to be the cheapest or the most expensive, great. Hire the portfolio that speaks to you, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you happy. And then also do your vetting. Go look at these sites. Where do they show up on Google search? If you have some questions for the marketing firm or the ad agency, like ask them what search they were trying to get their client to the top. Because these are important, for all of marketing nowadays.
Good stuff. Now tell us about Pet Palazzo.
Oh yeah, so Petapalooza. Yeah, Petapalooza. It's a pet adoption festival. It was one of the things I started volunteering with when I moved to the area, and the founders who started it, really great people. They stepped down after 4 years of running it, and it was just going to end, and that seemed really sad to me. So I just stood up and started running it. I love animals, but I wouldn't say I'm like an animal person. But anyway, I run this animal adoption event. It's a really great thing in our community. It brings a lot of shelters and rescues together for like a one big day adoption festival. So I run that, and I've been doing that for a while now. I think I might be looking to get out sometime soon. But even then, petapaloozapa.com. It's a great thing.
Love it. When I tell you this has been so great and we're out of time already. But what I want to do is actually share some of the tidbits that you shared throughout this segment. And if you're just tuning in, guys, you want to go ahead and catch the replay of this one with Bitsy. When I tell you it is amazing, you will not be disappointed. Bitsy has left so many gems, and I'm just going to touch on some of them, and then I'm going to let you finish off with anything that I did not capture, Bitsy. So don't get stuck, get going. So if you find yourself in a rut, don't get stuck. Remember to always, you can always get going. Have people around you who love you, right? Making sure that you have a tribe of support that is around you. Bitsy talked about her parents, and she talked about the amazing support of her husband. And that, recognizing that it is okay to stand up for yourself. Be the loudest cheerleader for yourself. If something doesn't sit with you, if it's not a part of who you are, be comfortable standing up for yourself. And when it comes to bullying, again, take yourself out of the situation. Don't feed into it. And let it roll off your back. Don't take on the things that are said to you. Again, we talked about, social media bullying or even for young women, that is such a prevalent issue even today. So making sure that you don't fall on the side of being bullied, you can always move away, get someone to help or support you through that as well. Be comfortable figuring it out. You don't have to have all the answers. It's the aspect of relinquishing the need to be perfect, right? A lot of the times it's about the progress. It's about making gradual progression. Bitsy talked about how she utilized research, in the areas that she was not familiar with, and leaning into her strengths and bringing on people who have other strengths that complement your strengths so that you don't have to feel like you need to do it all. Confidence is so important, but also being grateful and having a daily journal of gratitude. I do that as well. So I love the fact that you said that, Bitsy, which is being able to express what you're grateful for. I think it just keeps us humble and central, honestly. Be dedicated to your success. Stay true to your craft and your clients. I love that you said that, which was just making sure that you're working on things that is true to you, and don't undercharge for your services. Charge what you're worth. Charge what your portfolio and your services are worth. Be comfortable learning something new and recognizing that it is okay to mess up. It's okay to fall on the side of doing something wrong, because guess what? Your missteps often lead to what you need so that you can redirect your energy or find what you do or don't like, right? Be true to yourself. See people for who, connect with people who recognize the worth and the value of you as well as your products. Raise your standards, raise the bar for yourself. Don't just settle for what is there. Have a good attitude and recognize that you don't have to agree with everyone. And it's okay. It's okay to not have clients that don't align with how you charge or where you are. Those who don't know your worth, don't stew in it. Let it go. Sometimes those are the more costly ones anyway. Charge for your capabilities. Share the information for how you got to where you are with others. Volunteer, mentor, coach. Share that information. Don't just absorb it within yourself. Recognize that you are on a journey. And she talked about how, for her, it took her 8 years, but she got there. And a lot of women don't get to a space of being 6 or 7 figured, have 6 or 7 businesses, but be patient with yourself. Don't quit while you are yet on your way. Hire for the portfolio that speaks to you. So when it comes to being able to hire a client, and make sure that you vet them, or hiring someone for services, make sure that you vet them, especially when it comes to marketing and begin. And lastly, don't be afraid to do the work that you need to get where you want to go in life. So wow, this has been so impactful. Did you see me taking those notes?
I did. You took so many notes. I didn't realize.
It was all you. All I did was listen and just capture some of those key elements. So thank you for that. Any final words that you would like to leave with our guests before we chime off?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. This was so wonderful to get to chat with you for the past hour. But I think one thing that I didn't touch on that is important. If someone doesn't want to work with you, it doesn't matter. Don't let your business be emotional. Don't let it be personal. It's business. You're going to make the best decisions you can for your business, and so are other people. And if that means that you're not the right choice for them, doesn't matter. You are going to be out there to service your other clients. You're going to be out there to service new people. You lost this one. It's nothing personal. Don't get emotional about it. It's business. So that is something that I practice every day. And if I feel myself getting a little bit worked up, I think it wasn't a good fit. It's fine. Let it go. I take a deep breath. I get back to the grind.
I love that. It's not emotional. It's just business.
Yep.
It's just business.
Just business.
Thank you so much, Bitsy. This has been so
Thank you,
much fun. So much fun. And yes, you know what? You guys have been on with Bitsy McCann over the last hour. Be sure to go back, share this with someone, another woman with grit, or doesn't even have to be a woman. We have a lot of guys that follow our show as well, as it relates to the aspect of marketing, overcoming bullying. She talked about so many key and critical points that you don't want to miss this. So be sure to do so. Bitsy, thank you so very, very, very much for your time tonight. We do not take it lightly or for granted. And to our viewers, again, connect with me if you're on today and you want a free book. Make sure that you reach out to me in the chat function or reach out to us in our email inbox us. On either one of our forms, and we'll be sure to get that over to you. We're so excited that you have joined us. So until next time, we'll see you next week at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, again, right here in the same place and the same time with another amazing woman with grit. Until then, have a good night. Bye.